All right.
Natty 19 coming in hot.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the Natty 19 podcast. I'm Jonathan Marshall. Thank you so much for joining us yet again for another exciting episode. We're coming out of a combat-heavy episode. So we're going to ease back into right where we left off.
There you go. There you go.
A little
if you've got any once again, if you've got any questions about what we're doing, if you got any stories to share, you can reach us at natty19podcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Tell your buddies about us. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Spotify, all that stuff. Anywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
If you are a podcast listener and you're, for whatever reason, listening to us on something other than your normal podcast program, and we aren't on your normal podcast program, find us. Get a hold of us and let us know that we're not on there, and we'll get on there. Let's get right into it. Where did we leave off?
Cappy is getting up off the ground, and he's going to take the mask off. The masked man. Got to see his face.
Yeah, he just looks like a normal guy. No, you don't recognize him.
Antonio Banderas?
He looks native to Chult. He looks similar to...
Any markings on his body to suggest he's...
There's scars, there's lashes on his back, so it looks like at one point he may have been either captive and tortured, or maybe a slave.
What about, is he part of the Flaming Fist?
Oh, you don't find any Flaming Fist markings whatsoever.
Okay.
It almost looks...
Clem found him here?
As a matter of fact, Copernicus may even... get an idea that he is maybe a mercenary, which the Flaming Fist, maybe an independent mercenary.
Then Copernicus will snap his head over to Irimae and say, "Where's Clem? Did you let her get away?"
I think that I stopped her. Somewhere in the woods up there.
Clem is dead. Her body is over near the woods, if you care to take a look.
He does. So, Copernicus will head for Clem's body.
Okay.
Yeah, Quincy
make
will,
it.
Quincy will, just lead him. Quincy will lead him right to where the body was. You know, it's getting dark. I know it could be hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of an issue there. Right,
you see better than I
can
would.
wait till my next turn. Yeah, so, I'll kind of stick a boot in her body, medicine check that. I want to make sure she's dead, too.
All right, give me a roll.
Is the body still there?
And that's a low. It's a 5 on the die, so I fail.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, she's dead.
She's not breathing.
Doesn't appear so.
And then once again, I'm going to look for signs. I'm sure Clem had some tattoos on her. I want to know if this is her or like her twin sister, or what am I looking at here? Can I tell?
Give me an investigation check.
Ooh, there we go. That's a... Sorry, guys.
You need glasses?
Where the fuck is investigation? Oh, it's a 15 on the die.
15's not a bad one. I don't know how much you want me to reveal in front of everybody, but throughout your exploits with Clem, your personal ones rather, you do recall a scar that she had.
That's what I was thinking. I would like a tattoo or a scar.
Yep, there was a scar in an obscure location.
On the inner thigh.
You guys will probably see him like pull her, perform his investigation and get thoughts. But yes, you do recognize that same scar that was on the Clem that you knew. Now your mind begins to wander a bit, and just how wily this person was Clem the entire time, or was it her sister? You know what I mean? Like, right. There could be a double thing going on. So it's hard to say.
What are you looking for?
Clem had a scar on her leg. And it's there. This is Clem, for sure.
Was there any doubt?
She did say at the beginning of the fight that I killed her sister. So
it could have been her dead twin sister.
Wow. I'm with Swains on this one, honestly.
Because I don't know what's happening.
What the fuck is real?
I didn't know how he was going to try to phrase it, because it's so like...
Did you grab the wrong box of Cheez-Its?
Oh, I'm crying.
I see where Swain's coming from. You know, I think that's a valid point. I mean,
It just struck me when saying
yeah,
it. So
dude, it hit you hard.
If she killed her twin sister, if you killed her twin sister, then whoever's left, whether it was her or her twin, is the one that's left alive.
Right.
That you just killed. So then,
So there could be a twin sister out there, or there could not be, and Clem could have just been batshit or very deceptive. Right?
I'm pretty sure the whole family's dead. I wouldn't think too hard on it.
maybe they were triplets.
I think the real question that Swains was wondering is, now they're both dead, yes, but was this Clem or her sister?
So would her sister coincidentally have the same scar?
That's
what he was. Well, that's what he was checking for.
Okay.
You know, he's confident that this is the Clem that he had dealings with.
And he looks pretty somber. Like, he's not happy about her death. You know. You see Copernicus bend down close to Clem's ear. And he whispers something in it. Then folds her arms across her chest and closes her eyes. Said, let's not make this a bloodbath, but I guess we had to do what we had to do. And he'll start searching the body.
You don't find anything out of the ordinary. You find a pouch with 24 silver pieces and 4 gold pieces, and then beyond that, there's a light crossbow. You know, there's regular weapons, standard weapons.
Nothing we'd want.
You might, I don't know, just a light crossbow, a short sword. You know, nothing magical or anything that you can tell.
What about on the other gentleman?
The gladiator has a shield, a metal shield, and a spear.
Cast detect magic on those.
Yeah.
You don't detect any magic.
What do you suppose we do with the bodies?
I don't know what to do with bodies, Copernicus. What do you do with bodies? We bury them?
Quincy turns to look at Copernicus as well.
Grab her legs.
Is the refuse pit, is it full of refuse? Is it full of things that, like, we could conceivably just throw them in and sort of cover?
There's something down in that pit, and I think it'll take care of the bodies.
I know I took her life, but it seems awful.
It's the way of the world, Irimae.
Well, you're also recounting your dinner with Wakanga about unsanctioned murder as well, and the penalty for that.
Yeah, we can't risk stirring up the flaming fist.
Would there be a difference between worms eating her or some pit beast?
I feel more confident her body will disappear within the pit.
I think you're right.
I'm feeling rather dirty about this. This is not the same as when we were in the jungle and fighting for our lives.
I mean, she did come here to kill me. She wasn't a very good person.
You trying to make us feel better, Copernicus?
I'm not happy about it either, but I don't want to risk these bodies.
She never
found.
said thank you.
Quincy will just say under his breath, it's not as if Copernicus is a good person either.
I sneezed once and she didn't even say bless you.
Well, it seems we're now all enemies of Boulder's Gate.
Perhaps she was just giving enough time for your partner to say bless you before she said bless you.
I mean, do you want me to roll persuasion on you guys?
No, the deed is done.
No,
The
I'm
deed
the
is
one that
done.
murdered her.
All right.
We're putting her in the pit.
There you go. Knew I could count on you.
Let us hope that there is no word of this going to Baldur's Gate. I believe all the parties involved are going in the pits.
Yes.
And then on Clem, any insignias for Flaming Fist, or is she flying solo?
You don't
the
find
radar?
any insignias, but that being said, they're not really known to carry all too much in the way of.
Okay.
You know.
So there's nowhere to know who knew she was
Yeah,
here
I
and
mean,
after you.
Yeah.
Have we gathered, have we gathered if there's any laws around self-defense? Like, what are the laws regarding self-defense?
I think you'd have a better shot at pleading your case if you killed somebody in self-defense than if you're considering maybe reporting the incident.
It'd be a very difficult thing to prove.
And also, if Clem was here on personal business and we bring this to light, we could expose Copernicus, make him more vulnerable.
Yes.
And we already have that one.
It's good
What is it, a
thinking.
token or a coin?
Oh,
Or
the gladiator also had 20 gold on him.
we already have a scratch against us with Daniel Devos.
Are you guys gonna help me with this body or not? You know, for a half orc, she's still pretty heavy. Copernicus is dragging her by one leg.
Quincy will help out, but he's definitely introspective about it. While we're throwing the bodies in the pit, I want to get a close look at the man who is wearing the mask, who is probably nothing more than a hireling, just in case there's something that might, in the future, indicate like that he's a brother or father or son or something to somebody, and if I connect the dots, then perhaps, I could try to do something good for those he left behind.
Yeah, you don't find any jewelry or pendants or anything or any kind of material possessions that might be sentimental. He looks rather poor, as a matter of fact. He's wearing bare minimum for clothing. Even the
This
mask.
is getting sadder.
I'll just remember his face then.
Even the mask around him is just a tattered black cloth that he had wrapped around his face.
So, after we throw the bodies in the pit, I'll go over the battlefield area and just, scan for any other dropped weapons or...
Yeah, when you get to the edge of the pit, remember it's difficult, it's greasy, 5 foot around the pit. So whoever's tossing the body in the pit needs to make a dex save.
Oh,
Maybe
jeez.
it's the two of us, right, at least.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That is a 13 for Copernicus.
10 for Quincy.
All right, yeah, you managed to do it.
Oh,
It was a close one there.
That is the
I almost
first
fell
body.
in myself.
What about the second body?
Yeah. Oh, you got another body coming in.
Yeah.
12.
6.
You're okay. DC's 5.
Okay. Real low.
Yeah. I just want there to be a chance of somebody falling in. I'm not
So
trying. I'm
when-
not trying to kill anybody here.
I'm still picturing this like a Sarlacc pit filled with trash. So when we throw the
I'm
bodies in,
thinking-
do we see like...
I'm thinking the trash compactor scene more than the Sarlacc pit in A New Hope.
Okay.
Turn off all the trash compactors on the detention level.
Say now.
You scan the battlefield. There's definitely scuff marks where the battle ensued, blood splatters, everything that you'd imagine from a fight as like that one. It was a good, gory fight. I mean, this guy was fighting
Yeah.
like he was fighting for food.
I believe I fired crossbow bolts. I'll try to
Try
recover
to
those.
recover some bolts.
Yeah. Even if they're broken, I want to get rid of the evidence just in case they could be traced.
Sure. How many did you fire?
2.
Just 2. Let me see here.
At least I only deducted 2. I might have fired.
You managed to recover one of them.
Okay.
The other one, who knows? It's pretty dark out, so
Okay.
and you're next to the pit. It could have who knows where it went.
My luck, I'd buy crossbow bolts from the only guy in town that sells
Something that looks
he only
like
had
that.
3 customers that day. He has very distinct fletching.
So yeah, I'll kick sand over any blood stains, try to get him dry up faster. And then, yeah, you notice like Copernicus kind of like half falls to his knees. Like he's pretty banged up. He's hurting from going down in that fight.
I suppose I should tend to my friend.
That would be nice, Quincy.
Quincy will just somberly move over to Copernicus and put his hand on his shoulder and do a cure light wounds.
All right.
Or, sorry, cure wounds. This is D&D. At level 2. For 13.
You're a kind soul.
Try to take care of yourself, Copernicus.
He was quite the warrior.
Irimae's gonna walk up between them and put her hands on their shoulders and say, let's go home.
Yes. Back to the 3 C's shipping and freight.
Quincy releases a breath like he hasn't been breathing the whole time. Just like relaxes a little bit, lets his shoulders down, and follows them.
All right. So you find your way back to the 3C's shipping headquarters. An oil lamp burns, and within its light, Daniel Devitas is sitting with Petrie, poring over the several maps, copying the locations carefully. The recently added Camp Vengeance stands out off the west bank of the Sashin Star River, just north of the Aldani Basin. Daniel looks up from the papers. How did it go with the Clem meeting? Got everything straightened out?
Copernicus walks straight to his bed, collapses, rolls on his back, and goes, "Did our pay come in, Devitas?"
It did. We got it all sacked. Do you guys got your contracts? I was looking for them earlier.
Maybe.
I don't have a contract.
Well, I may have something. Let me keep digging. See, we'll find it. I mentioned the contracts in episode 1 with Alarad sitting in the office in the warehouse. So I just always fall back on that, you know.
So what are we doing, like 10 gold pieces? Like a gold piece a day, or?
The way I'm kind of looking at it is like a coffer, you know, like the 3C, like you guys' headquarters coffers, you know, where you just kind of have a stash of gold and you withdraw what you need from that coffer, you know what I mean? So you have like spending cash on you,
Right.
but then for the most part, you're kind of building up, trying to, you know, accrue a little treasure hoard to build up your headquarters and stuff like that.
Right.
Maybe fast trap, maybe features that'll help you get around the map easier, you know, hiring muscle when, you know.
We need to do something to pull in some gold.
I had it in my mind that you guys would be getting like 50 gold pieces a week. 50 gold pieces a 10-day, you know. That's what I had in my mind.
Way more generous than what I thought.
Quincy would only be getting like 40 then, maybe, because some of it's going back to pay his father's debt.
Okay.
That's basically just for his own education, essentially.
Right. All right. There's been some new developments. A man named Bertram stopped by representing Wakanga Otamu. He delivered a sack of coin to put towards our debt. It covers half easily. Not sure what you guys did, but keep it up. I also did a bit of digging on that Firefinger location that you asked about.
When he starts talking about Firefinger, he'll sit up.
Led me to a guide by the name of Azaka Stormfang. She was telling me that before the spell plague hit, there were many of these signaling towers spread throughout Chult, used to send messages between all of the various cities. Now, while most of them are all but toppled, Firefinger still stands. The damn fire still burns after all these years. Anyway, she was looking for an expedition team to head there, something about terrafolk and a stolen family heirloom, a mask of sort. I took her contact info in case I can muster a B team while you guys head to Oralunga. Based on the location marked here, hitting it on the way to Camp Vengeance just didn't seem viable. It would add another 11 days or so onto your trip, at least, and I doubt your escort would be interested in that kind of a detour.
Other than the question of the escort, is there a time consideration that we couldn't do both? How pressing is our business in Oralunga? Thank you, Irimae.
Well, I imagine there's no real timestamp on anything other than the inevitable death curse.
Yes, we are all
That's killing our
cursed with
benefactor.
inevitable death.
That's slowly killing our benefactor daily.
Forgive me. I'm afraid Miss Lady Sylvain just hasn't been in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah, it's all right. I have a grim look on the situation myself. But, hey, also in light of recent developments, Petrie and I were talking about hiring some protection as well. This next expedition might see you guys gone for months, and if we're going to be expanding, we'll need to guard our investments. If anyone has any leads on that, let me know. Also, have you thought about a guide yet? Tomorrow's the day of departure, and I think they were heading out a bit after midday.
Well, we're going to be heading out with the Order of the Gauntlet, correct?
Yeah, but they're only going as far as Camp Vengeance. What are the rest of the days over to Oralunga? You're going to need a guide. Sylvain said it in the note. A guide is suggested.
We could
go back to
perhaps we had this
the half-dragon.
I was thinking we could check in with... How long has it been since we have seen Zimwabi?
Well, what's it been? 3-4 days?
Perhaps he has a clearer idea of whether or not he'd like to continue being a guide.
Well, maybe we take our business to him first, and if not, go see the half-dragon?
That sounds like a lovely idea.
Yeah.
All right, while you guys are all discussing that, you hear a knock at the door. Daniel goes, he looks out the window, and he opens it. You recognize Savin.
Ah, Mr. Savin, sir.
It's like, pleasure to see you all.
It's good to see you doing well.
He comes in, he sits down. As you may have heard in my absence, it was discovered that Camp Righteous had indeed fallen. I guess only a few had made it out and fled down the Sachsen-Star ways and established a new camp. I imagine a detachment was requested to aid in the effort, and since we received word that Commander Breakbone is struggling to get that camp on its feet, so my detachment is being sent to aid the cause. I saw that the 3C's shipping and freight was listed on the roster, and I had a feeling it was you lot. Is the city life so boring you'd sooner find yourselves back on the river?
Quite the contrary. I wish we had a little more time to rest before going back into the jungle.
I long for the peace of the Sachsen-Star at this point.
Yes, the city life's been quite adventurous on its own, hasn't it?
I could go either way. Part of me get that fire burning in my chest, being out in the wilds, you know, but I can't help but think of my time ill spent in Taguda village. It weighs heavily on me, my fallen friends.
For as much as I looked forward to getting into my first expedition and spending time in the jungle, I have learned this about myself, is that I feel much more comfortable in the city.
I just wanted to come over and kind of let you guys know that I'll be joining the expedition if you didn't already know. And I kind of wanted to know for myself as well if it was in fact you all that would be heading down the river with us.
Yes, it is.
I look forward to the journey. Should go quite smooth. We've got quite the number going. He looks out the window at this point, and he says, there is a storm coming. It was supposed to hit tomorrow night, but it would seem it arrives tonight. And this, you can hear the gaining winds outside. I shall see you at departure, friends. Midday tomorrow.
Have a good night.
To you as well. He nods at Daniel.
He seems to be recovering well.
quite resilient to be wanting to get back into the fray of things so quickly.
Maybe it's easier to stay busy.
Yes, I imagine the loss of Elgin is probably all he thinks about late at night.
I'm beginning to realize that there's much to lose out here. Quincy would like to, when everybody's settling in, or even just when it's quiet and there's a little bit of time, he would like to spend some time looking at the map that Daniel Devitas has put together with the combination.
Yeah, the collaboration map there. Yep.
And if everybody's if everybody's around, he's not going to pull out his own map. But if he finds some time where people are sleeping and he's able to do it himself, he'll compare his own map to it just to try to see if there's any landmarks. Just one more time to see if there's any landmarks or anything that he could tie between the two maps.
Oh, you mean in terms of like mirroring them?
Yeah, like if there's a certain
discrepancy.
mountain type thing on one map, and
You're
or a
talking
lake
about
or
your
a pond,
personal
my
map, right? That
personal
was
map.
given to you, not like the
Right,
one copy.
gotcha.
and see if if that same feature can be found on the map that we know of the jungle so far, or of the peninsula so far. And if not, like he'll just keep at it. He'll just
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you're just trying to just double check your work,
yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
Yeah, pouring over it, there's a few options that it could be. You notice something that strangely resembles, you can't tell the way the map was drawn, but it almost looks like a heart of sorts, like a beating heart without the motion, without the animation, like an actual heart. Not like a Valentine's Day card.
Right.
And it almost looks faintly sketched, but then on Daniel's map, you notice there is writing, clear writing that says heart of, and then it's kind of scribbled. You can't really translate it.
I will make a mental note of where it is on Daniel's map.
Yeah, and it looks to be southeast of the Aldani Basin.
The Aldani Basin.
But like I said, I mean, it's a
Do
stretch.
I have any idea of how far, like based on the scale?
It's not too far from where you guys are heading. So it looks to be maybe down here. Oh, yeah, right here. See it?
The heart of Uptau.
Yep. So it's...
And we had some lore about Uptau, did we not?
Yep, you definitely had some lore. Uptau was the ancient Chultan god who supposedly abandoned the land of Chult altogether. And nobody is quite certain as to why. Since then, other religions have moved in and such. And even before your religions from the mainland have moved in, even before then, just from doing your studies, before you even arrived, that there were kind of these false gods that the primitive cultures of Chult had started believing in and worshipping. But beyond that, it's not really clear.
False gods as in Uptau would be upset, or false gods as in non-existent gods?
False gods that haven't been proven to exist within the pantheon. They haven't shown any
Gotcha.
avatar or even any power documented anyway.
Making the connection between the two maps, even if it's not a certain connection, Quincy wants it to be certain. Like, he wants this connection to be real. Having been, a little frightened, maybe, is the honest word, of his first foray into the jungle, even with his peers. He was not exactly very excited about continuing on for this next mission, but this changes everything. He's now recovering his enthusiasm, and as everybody settles down to sleep, and as he tries to go to sleep, like, all he's thinking about is this heart of Uptau, and how this could be the place, this could be where the ruins are.
Irimae is definitely having a hard time even falling asleep. She's very restless. So instead of sleeping, she wakes up and she begins to journal. Ultimately journaling about how the jungle, while terrifying, was exciting for her. And today's events, looking back at them, was very somber to her and different. And she's got a whole range of emotions going. At first, she's angry at Copernicus, almost feeling like she's put in this situation because of him. But then it fades to a more rational approach to it and realizing that he has become her friend and there was a choice to make and the choice had to be made. So ultimately, she's just trying to make amends with the life that she brutally took today.
Mm-hmm. 26 Nidal. Morning comes easy enough in Nyanzaru. At the Three Seas Shipping and Freight, the smell of the husbandry hangs even thicker as the morning sun works effortlessly to erase the night's downpour. The air is thick and the usual street activity is lessened a bit, but ever prevalent as the folk begin their day-to-day routine. A pot clanks to the floor, breaking the scene, and at this point you're all abruptly stirred to see Daniel, lightly dressed, preparing the cooking stove for breakfast. And he says, "Anyone want any eggs?"
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Eggy wags.
Eggs would be delicious, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. Is it awfully wet in here?
It is
You
a bit.
see him just clammy.
It is damp. Yes.
He's like, I think some water must have got in last night. Couldn't tell, it was so damn loud.
Having my bed up off the floor, I think, helped quite a bit.
Yeah, I got new beds ordered. They're being made. Just so you know, by the time you get back from this Oralunga trip, you should have some fresh bedding waiting for you.
I don't know. I'm adjusting to the hammock, I think.
Oh, you're gonna love this new bedding, trust me. I tested it out myself.
I am quite looking forward to bedding.
He takes a bite of fruit. So today's the big day. He's interrupted by the door busting open, and Petrie rushes in, all out of breath, and he's signaling wildly with his hands. You may understand he says, "The sturge rests at the bottom of the bay." And Daniel stands up. "Petrie, slow down. Did you say that the sturge has been sunk?
The pirate ship?
Who took him out?" And Petrie goes on emotioning. He says, "A ship arrived early this morning bringing news. It is docked in the harbor ward, getting repairs as we speak. The ship has no name but flies a symbol I have not seen. Appears as a goblet with water falling into it. I only saw it briefly before rushing back with the news." And Irimae, you know this ship and who it belongs to. It had been quite some time since you laid eyes on it, and here it is, in Nyanzaru, docked in the harbor ward, and you can only assume as to why.
Well, we did promise that the ship would be sunk.
And so it has. I don't know if I'm feeling so well today, guys.
While you guys are saying that, starting to hear a bit of commotion outside as people are bustling, and you can faintly hear, "The sturge has been wrecked. Hurry, lad. Let us go and see who these mighty heroes are." Now, the sturge, you do remember, this is one of those 3 pirate ships that have been plaguing the Bay of Chult. This is
Actually,
kind
the
of
only
big
name
news.
I remember.
The Dragonfane
Emerald.
and Emerald Eye.
So Daniel hastily finishes up his fruit. He begins throwing on his thin tunic, and he begins heading for the door.
Is everything okay, Irimae?
I'm sure it's fine. I think I'll just spend the day here.
We are set to leave this afternoon, correct? Or it's midday?
I'll ready my things.
So I can't help but feel a bit intoxicated by the street buzz. I'm going to check it out. You guys should come with me.
Oh, you guys go. You can bring the news back.
Interesting.
Yes, this is quite fascinating. I love a good naval warfare story.
All right.
Yeah, Cappy will follow Devitas out.
And Quincy with them.
As you make your way to the harbor ward, you notice more and more people setting down their tasks to join in on the event. As word quickly spreads throughout the port city of the Sturge getting sunk, it's becoming kind of a big deal. And coming up on it, the elegantly crafted ship stands out from the rest considerably. The hull itself, a smooth-shaped dark red wood, gilded with a sort of bluish-purple metal. The rolled-up sails, the same color as the ship's trim, and massive, finely crafted ballistae line the deck. The sails on the center mast are completely shredded, and you see elves on deck gearing up to make the repairs.
Quincy's going to take a look at the ship and see what he can tell about it. He does have kind of a fondness for ships. What kind of ship it is, how many cannons it could hold, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you notice there's not even any cannons. It's just these massive ballistae. Ballistae or ballistae?
It's just called ballista.
Ballista. Oh, drop the S.
Yeah.
Or, never put the S on.
It's actually an A and an E for plural. Whereas singular is just an A, so...
Could be A.
Ballistae. Like, kind of like Irimae. Yeah, you guys get there, you look around, you see everybody at this point watching with intense curiosity. You guys notice Jonthi up on the Merchant Prince's wall as she glances over at Wakanga, who's walking along the wall with Syndra at his side. He receives the glance from Jonthi with a nod and a smile, and he turns his gaze at the ship. On the street level, you now notice even Dewshine standing up on a barrel trying to get a better view.
So what we're looking at here is the Sturge, but it's broken up.
No.
No, this is the boat
This is the boat that took
An
us.
elven ship.
Yes.
Yeah, an elven...
Okay.
Sunk the Sturge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this...
I wasn't sure if they were towing the Sturge in with it.
No, the
or...
Sturge was just... Yeah, the Sturge, by what everybody's saying, had been sunk.
Is there any markings or anything for the ship's name?
There is no... The ship has no name. It just bears the crest.
A girl has no name.
And, Quincy, in your experience, every ship has a name. But you're not familiar with... You're not as familiar, I think, with elves of this culture anyway. You have heard of elven ships with names, but this one...
Maybe from Master Triss a little bit about elven.
Right. But you definitely find it odd that a ship of this magnitude has no name. It's just odd.
Can I roll an insight or a history or something to see what kind of elves these are, or where they're from?
Yeah, sure, go for it. Absolutely.
A 9 on insight.
At best, you can tell that they're high elves. I mean, that's kind of easy. That's almost a given. As to what type of high elves, you're not. You can tell that they are. What are they, sun elves? Is that what they are?
Well, high elves consist of moon elves, sun elves, and I believe there's...
That's what I mean. Sun
Yeah.
elves or moon elves.
Yeah.
They look like Irimae elves, don't they?
Yeah, you could tell that they're high elves, but you can't really tell much beyond that. What you do know, because what Copernicus, did you grow up in the Underdark, or you've never been?
Never been.
How much experience do you have with other elven empires and cultures and kingdoms?
Just wild elves.
Yeah.
Copernicus from like Last Hope area. I know that's one of our made up places, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I always picture that kind of west coast of Faerun.
Yeah, I get it. Just small kind of burgs and at most the elves that you see out there are from the wilds. They're
Right.
more of the
Tribal.
forest.
I always saw them
Are
as
there
like
wood
tribal
elves?
Yeah, wild wood elves. I'm not sure what they're called in 5e, honestly.
I think they're wood elves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't really know much. You haven't had much experience in the way of these type of elves. They look extremely civilized. Their technology is impressive, even by Dark Elf standards. I don't know, how much experience does Copernicus have with Dark Elves?
Oh, just them murdering his family.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't seen anything really like this, as impressive as this anyway. You see a woman emerge from the body of the ship. She's accompanied by 6 guards. She has short, shoulder-length hair, pulled back into a ponytail of sorts. She's dressed in extremely fine adventuring clothes. They appear to be handcrafted to fit her form perfectly. Yeah, she definitely looks like she means business. Very stern woman, very stern look on her face. Quincy, you could probably tell that she is she's very high on the social ladder. Where she's coming on the ramp now that leads to the pier. You notice there is another elf. Looks to be a bit of an older elf. He has a little bit more of bushy eyebrows, and he is standing on the pier side of the ramp awaiting her, and next to him is that half-dragon Zindar, the harbor master. It appears as if they had already been talking.
Is Devitas next to us?
Devitas is there.
I'll ask Devitas, is there any knowledge about these people, where they're from?
I've never seen anything like this, to be honest with you.
Cappy will kind of elbow Quincy in the ribs.
Let's get closer. Curious about these elves.
At this point, notice Zimwa B, who's also watching the spectacle. He notices your lot and he approaches.
Zimwabi.
Ah, Zimabi, we were looking for you.
Have you ever seen such a marvelous ship? Truly impressive, the Elven Kingdoms. Zimwa B had no idea.
She is a beautiful craft.
The beautiful elven woman stops at the harbor master, and then they begin talking and walking slowly towards Zindar's office. As you guys are muscling your way through the crowd, you know they're definitely moving faster than you guys can through the crowd. It looks like you're losing them.
Right, like the crowd's parting for them because they're important.
The elves are. You have workers on the ship. It looks like is it Quincy and maybe even Copernicus. I don't know if you have any interest in ships. Quincy, you can
He's
tell
got good sea legs.
Decent.
the ship is in pretty good condition, having survived a sea battle. You can tell the only real damage is the center mast. The sails on the center mast are just shredded. And you can, on your way by, you can look on the deck and you see just bits of shrapnel, bits like chains and nails, anything that looks like it could have been shoved into a cannon just for the sole purpose of shredding sails had been fired at this thing. And you see elves picking up all the debris in disgust at just this, you know, you get the sense that they are just so disgusted that they were fired at with such, you know, mundane tools.
Rudimentary ballista.
Yeah, just bullshit tactics. Like
Though
they're fighting animals, you know.
Though the main mast is quite damaged, the hull and the rest of the ship look to be quite intact. It does appear the crew are quite disgusted by their foes. Perhaps they are more used to more cultured warfare.
War's a dirty thing. These elves better get used to it down here in Chult, huh?
Now, Copernicus, you might also know just from working on the docks and being with the Thieves Guild, dealing a little bit with pirates, you know this could mean one of two things, sometimes both. Sometimes this is a tactic used to snare a ship for boarding, so they could take the ship undamaged, kill everybody on board, or they use it in a method of escaping. If they're losing the fight, they shred the sails, and then they go full bore and try to run, yeah. So, and you can't really tell at this point which was the case.
Yeah, I think I would assume they were trying to run, so they tried to take the sails out. Looks like they didn't make it, though. And we're a few thousand gold less rich.
It'd seem a reasonable assumption, though if it means that trade is just that much safer here, then perhaps we will yet see those riches, as the 3C shipping and freight could only benefit.
So let me get a march, like a little group location area. Because we've got Daniel Devitas, Zimwa B, Quincy, Copernicus. Did you guys come back after you started losing them to rejoin up with Zimwa B and Daniel, or are you still on your own?
Yeah, I mean, Quincy would like to approach Zimwabi, and he doesn't want to lose Zimwabi.
Okay, so you kind of got a tether on him. So as you guys are coming back, Daniel, the crowds are kind of starting to disperse a little bit as they just wanted to see with their own eyes. A lot of them. Some are still lingering to see if they can get the real scoop, because hearsay is hearsay. So Daniel says, well, that's pretty exciting, but remember, we got a deadline. Yeah, why don't you guys go get your canoes? Zimwabi, are you going with those guys? I do not know what is going on.
I apologize, Zimwabi, but we were discussing you as a possible guide for another expedition, but we weren't sure if you were still in the business.
Where are you going?
Oralunga is our destination at the moment.
Oralunga. Forgive me, I am unfamiliar with it.
It's west. A little bit more west, I think, than Taguda village.
So it is down the Sashanstar.
Yes, it's down the Sashanstar, a bit farther than we went before.
Yes, I think I might be able to join you. I must warn you, though, I am only familiar with the Sashanstar River down to the Aldani Basin. Beyond that, we are on our own with nothing but our wits.
You're not familiar with the jungle from...
I'm familiar with the jungle along from... Let me see. I am familiar all the way to maybe several miles south of where we met Savin at Taguda village.
Right.
But beyond that, I would be happy to join you.
How much further was it past what he's saying his knowledge is that we know just from planning the expedition?
Pretty sure from Camp Vengeance it was going to be 11 days.
11 days.
Or was it 11 days total from leaving?
So this is the Aldani Basin, right there.
So that's his knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he,
so it's a day or
so
two
he
past
knows
his knowledge.
His knowledge was. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So up here is to Oralunga's right there. So this is the Aldani Basin. So his knowledge is about probably right here, because that circle is Taguda village, I think. It's a good ways.
So
He may not be the best guide for us on this mission.
Do you know others in Wabi that perhaps we could approach? Somebody who's familiar with Oralunga or the Aldani Basin.
You could ask around. Zindar might know, the harbor master. He works in the guide field. If I were to be honest, I have never heard of Oralunga, and I have lived here all my life.
There are many mysteries in the jungles of Cholt.
Yes, I would be surprised if you find a guide that has heard of the place.
I see. We do have a history with him.
We do, and
I know I'm not there, but he also, not only do we have a history, it is along the Sashanstar, so that gives us a pretty good direct route home.
and he does know some basic how to live in the jungle and what to look for in the jungle. And we are capable navigators as far as trying to find the location of the place, even if you do not know exactly where it is in Wabi. So perhaps with your knowledge of the river and your knowledge of the jungle, and if you are not deceiving us in saying that no one else would know where Oralunga is, and I do not believe you would deceive us.
Well, I'm sure there may be. I cannot say for certain, but I doubt it. I would not bet money on it.
And it would have to be somebody that we'd be able to track down in the next few hours.
I can't imagine if it's along the Sashanstar that the terrain is all too different than what I am familiar with.
Then are you interested in another guiding job?
Ready your canoes, friend.
I shall get them at once.
Good to have you on board, Zimwabi.
He puts his hands on Copernicus and Quincy's back. He says, I could not ask for a better team.
I'm sure Irimae would be glad to see you.
Where is Irimae? Will she be coming?
Yes, she will be joining us. She had some things to take care of before we depart.
Ah, wonderful.
But we are to meet just midday here. So whatever you need to get taken care of, I suggest waste no time.
I understand, Quincy. I will get on it immediately.
I'll put some gold in Zimwabi's hand and tell him to get
us a bunch of insect repellent. We're gonna be out there for a while.
Of course.
Just give me the change.
I'll just give him. Well, how much is insect repellent? 10 gold for. Will that cover us for the trip?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Honestly, I already had Daniel because it's kind of his job to set you guys up, set
Okay,
up all
he's
your
gonna have
supplies and everything. Yeah, he's like your dispatcher, so he's gonna, But you telling Zimwabi that Zimwabi will get what he needs for his own supplies and stuff
Yeah,
like
all
that.
right.
So yep, that'll work out. Yeah, so you don't have to erase any gold off of your sheet.
Excellent.
Because that's going to be covered in the expedition expenses. So.
All right, let us make our way back to headquarters.
As you guys begin to break off, a young human female in light gray robes appears, holding an unbound scroll. She says, Mr. Devitas, of the 3 C's shipping and freight? Daniel turns around to face her, and then he looks around a bit uneasy. Yeah, that's me. What can I do for you, milady? Oh, wonderful. I was told your team could get me to the Eldani Basin safely if the coin weighs. She holds out a bulging pouch when Daniel hastily pulls her hands down to hide it from the crowd. Says, okay, yeah, don't hold a bulging sack like that around so many people. So it's just kind of... Well, anyway, yeah, you heard right. Just so happens my team will be leaving in a couple hours down the Sashin Star. Those are the guys right there if you need any more details. He points to you guys, Quincy, Copernicus, and then he says, I'll go count this coin and add your name to the roster. And he begins walking away towards the headquarters. Then he stops abruptly, and he freezes for a moment before walking back. He says, sorry, miss, what name do you go by? She turns to him happily and says, I am Anit, an acolyte of Savras. She holds up a holy symbol, and on it, an open eye engraved in its center. And she turns to you guys, says, so we leave in a couple of hours?
Anit, is it?
Anit, yes.
It is a pleasure to meet you, Anit, but we were unaware that anyone was to join us.
What, can I get more? I
Oh,
might
is she
have missed
from
it.
the... Yeah, is she from the Order of the Gauntlet or anything? No,
She says she's an acolyte of Savras.
Is she a human?
Savras is the temple. There's the temple of Savras that you
Yeah,
guys
she's
passed
human.
up by Wakanga's villa. That was the god of magic, or god of fate, essentially, and a lot of wizards and stuff like that worship. Was it the god of fate? I know that a lot of wizards and stuff worship Savras. He's the all-seeing.
He's the eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I apologize, Matt. What is your name again?
My name is Anit.
Anit. This is taking us by surprise.
Yes, my grandfather, he runs the temple up in the merchants' quarters. As a matter of fact, if you all don't mind, now that I have actually found escort, I would love it if you join me going back to the temple so you could tell my father that you will be bringing me, or my grandfather that you will be bringing me.
Let us, yes, we will escort you, but let us go by way of our headquarters. We must recollect our group there.
Absolutely, of course. My supplies are at the temple, though, so before we depart, I would like to go to the temple.
So Copernicus checking her out. She look like she can handle an adventure? Jungle?
No, she is. I mean, she looks thin and
We're babysitting.
weak.
Sure, you know what you're getting
experts.
yourself
Yeah.
into.
I have no idea what I am getting myself into. As a matter of fact, I voiced my concerns to grandfather, and he seemed okay with me going if I found suitable escort. He didn't pay heed to my visions, though.
Visions?
Yes, I have terrible visions of red-robed figures performing rituals of sorts down in the Aldani Basin, building a fortress. I must investigate. I have a bad feeling about this.
Once we are all together again, I would love to hear about these visions in more detail.
Of course, of course. I'm sure we will have plenty of time to talk along the way.
And how do you envision your role on this expedition? Are we merely your escorts?
Oh, well, I imagine you will be keeping me safe, as promised. It is the coin weighs, as I was told.
Where are we dropping you off?
It's like you got pegged with the drunk chick at the party. Fuck.
You will be escorting me to the Eldani Basin so we may investigate if this vision is true or not, and then we will leave and come back.
Oh, Quincy, what did we just get roped into?
Forgive me, forgive me if my geography is a little off, but the Eldani Basin is in the opposite direction of Orlunga, is it not?
The Eldani Basin is actually on the way.
I'm sorry. Can we see the map again, real quick?
Yep.
See,
does it
it's a
loop
little out of the
the
way.
ri-
It's a little out
We
of the
can't.
way.
Well, you know,
we can't exactly see what
What's
the river
fucking us
does.
is because we don't have any of this
Yeah,
uncovered.
it could bank.
Right.
It could
So
take a sharp
according to
turn.
Quincy's
This is the
knowledge-
center of the Eldani Basin.
According to Quincy's knowledge, the Eldani Basin is a slight detour from a direct path from Camp Vengeance to Orlunga.
But it's
a few days out of
closer to the heart of Ooptab.
Oh.
Wouldn't that pique Quincy's interest?
It would.
That might sway you to be a little bit more on board.
Oops,
with.
I just deleted a...
You deleted a spell tag.
I deleted a hex.
Oh shit!
Don't look, don't look.
It's green.
It would. Mostly I'm trying to figure out. Well, let me ask. So I am going to ask, and that's what Quincy is doing. Forgive my lack of knowledge of the geography, but is the Eldani Basin a detour from our path to Orlunga? We do not have many maps of the area.
Oh, well, if you accompany me to the temple, my grandfather has a wonderful map that you can look at.
Ah.
I bet it would be very insightful. You may even ask him, I do not know, and I don't mean to pry about your objective, but my grandfather is a bit of a predictor, if you will. Many people pay him for his services. He's a bit of a fortune teller, as it were, only a real one.
Then let us make haste. We do not have much time.
Yeah, I assume we've been walking towards 3C's, having this conversation with her.
Yeah. Irimae, what are you doing this whole time?
Whilst you guys are at the port, checking out the ship, all this stuff's happening with you. We pan to Irimae, and she is pacing. She's pacing in there, and she's looking down at her compass, and the letters that signify direction on her compass are beginning to glow a bit, very dimly, but they're glowing, and she is anxious. She's pacing, and she's waiting for you to return.
Irimae, while you're pacing, from behind you, you hear, Irimae Thalas, I have traveled a great distance to speak with you. May I sit? It is the voice of your mother. We'll see you next time.
While she's still facing away from her mother, Irimae.
That was gonna be my. That was gonna be my end.
Oh.
End of the episode.